Now let us look at the commentary of the poem Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. In this poem, written in 1833 and revised for publication in 1842, Tennyson reworks the figure of Ulysses by drawing on the ancient hero of Homer's Odyssey. Ulysses is the Roman form of the Greek Odysseus and the medieval hero of Dante's Inferno. Homer's Ulysses, as described in Scroll 11 of the Odyssey, learns from a prophecy that he will take a final sea voyage after killing the suitors of his wife Penelope. The details of the sea voyage are prescribed by Dante in Canto 26 of the Inferno. Ulysses finds himself restless in Ithaca and driven by the longing, I had to gain experience of the world. Dante's Ulysses is a tragic figure who dies while sailing too far in an insatiable thirst for knowledge. Tennyson combines these two accounts by having Ulysses make his speech shortly after returning to Ithaca and resuming his administrative responsibilities and shortly before embarking on his final voyage. However, this poem also concerns the poet's own personal journey, for it was composed in the first few weeks after Tennyson learned of the death of his dear college friend Arthur Henry Hallam in 1833. Like In Memoriam, then, this poem is also an elegy for a deeply cherished friend. Ulysses, who symbolizes the grieving poet, proclaims his resolution to push onward in spite of the awareness that death closes all. Line 51. As Tennyson himself stated, the poem expresses his own need of going forward and braving the struggle of life after the loss of his beloved Hallam. The poem's final line, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield, came to serve as a motto for the poet's Victorian contemporaries. The poet's hero longs to flee the tedium of daily life. Among these barren crags, he says in line 2, and to enter a mythical dimension beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars, again at line 60-61. As such, he was a model of individual self-assertion and the romantic rebellion against bourgeois conformity. Bourgeois means middle class in French. Thus, for Tennyson's immediate audience, the figure of Ulysses held not only mythological meaning, but stood as an important contemporary cultural icon as well. Ulysses, like many of Tennyson's other poems, deals with the desire to reach beyond the limits of one's field of vision and the mundane details of everyday life. Mundane means ordinary, everyday. Ulysses is the antithesis of the mariners in the Lotus Eaters, who proclaim, "We will no longer roam," and desire only to relax amidst the lotus fields. In contrast, Ulysses cannot rest from travel and longs to roam the globe. Line 6. Like the Lady of Shalott, who longs for the worldly experiences she has been denied, Ulysses hungers to explore the untraveled world. As in all dramatic monologues, here the character of the speaker emerges almost unintentionally from his own words. Ulysses' incompetence as a ruler is evidenced by his preference for potential quests rather than his present responsibilities. He devotes a full 26 lines to his own egotistical proclamation of his zeal for the wandering life, and another 26 lines to the exhortation of his mariners to roam the seas with him. However, he offers only 11 lines of lukewarm praise to his son concerning the governance of the kingdom in his absence, and a mere 2 words about his aged wife, Penelope. Thus, the speaker's own words betray his abdication of responsibility and his specificity of purpose. Now, let us look at the character of Ulysses. Dissatisfaction. Ulysses is idle in the kingdom of Ithaca. He has come to his kingdom after a long time. His adventurous spirit is hungry since his arrival to his homeland. He is so dissatisfied with the life of Ithaca, judging the people whom he does not know. The people of Ithaca are different when compared with the mariners of whom he came along with him to adventurous world. The mariners are ready to give their lives for the adventures. But these people are not like that. These people means the public or the population of Ithaca. They eat and sleep. They are not more civilized. But Ulysses saw people who are civilized in his journeys, met with different circumstances. Tennyson uses still heath and barren crags, which represents the meaningless and empty life which Ulysses does not want to live in Ithaca. He also thinks and refers his wife as aged too. At last he laments, using 3 sons the time he has stayed in Ithaca unnecessarily. Perseverance for adventurous life. Ulysses' words reveal his perseverance towards his journey of adventures. He states that he cannot take rest from travel. Actually, he has a responsibility to guard his son and family and pour out his experience to rule Ithaca. But there is a huge difference of lives between him and his son. The subjects are completely different. Hence, he wants to live his way. He does not want to waste his life in this place, but to drink his life to the lees, which he wants to live his life in his likened manner. He is an untamed spirit for his journeys and remembers the civilized societies. He says that the remaining life should not be wasted, and every added hour should provide new knowledge, and he starts his journey towards knowledge, as in this way he does not want to leave any opportunity. Conscious of morality. Ulysses is aware that death is the final destiny of every man. That is why he says death closes all. He uses the words to refer something is to be done before death. He affirms that most of life is over and he has only little life left. In this life, he does not want to rust but to shine, being put into use. He uses eternal silence to depict the death and says every minute added should bring new things. Old age feebleness. Ulysses is not only concerned with death, but also old age hampers him in his way of exploration and earning knowledge. He uses words like grey spirit in his speeches. He even says old age has its honor and responsibilities and tries to be out of the old age melancholy and respects it as it also has its honor. Later in his quest of new world and gain of knowledge, he says there is no strength in him like before. He says time and fate together have made their bodies feeble. Yet he is strong in will, and the will lead him, and it will lead him to his destiny. Attitude for exploration. Ulysses is after exploration with a hungry heart, like a hungry lion after his spending of 3 suns in Ithaca. At last, he sets sail to explore the world. In this way, he remembers his explored world previously, meaning that the world he knew before he returned home. He has seen several cities and citizens of it, manners, councils, governments, etc. He has earned name and fame through his explorations. After setting sail, he says he wants to explore the untraveled world. He wants to gather that knowledge as soon as possible in his short life, meaning the short time of his life that remains. That is why he wants to be as fast as possible to catch the sinking star. He begins his journey in twilight, and stars begin to appear in between the rocks. They may soon sink into baths as assumed by Romans when the day starts. Hence, he wants to grab those stars before they sink. He hopes a newer world is waiting for his welcome. He does not like Ithaca. He wants to reach happy isles at the end of his life. Thus, his life wants to be ended in searching the newer world. Enjoying valiancy. Valiancy means bravery. Ulysses remembers his young days. He has enjoyed in joining the Trojan War with his mates. In the war, he fought along with gods. Such valiancy is seen in his character, and he wants to continue exhibiting such valiancy. He does not want to think he is old and feeble. He wants to be strong in his will and wants to achieve such feat again. He once again reminds his mariners that they are the humans who fought against the wills of God in the Trojan War. That spirit should be continued and defy the oceans to reach the happy isles where he can meet Achilles, who has fought in the Trojan War on the side of Ulysses and his mariners. He wants to drink his life to the lees in such activities, means to the last drop. He remembers that he has enjoyed a lot and suffered losses in his journey. He uses the scudding drifts and rainy heights in his speech to describe the situation. Seeker of knowledge. Ulysses is after knowledge. In his previous life, before reaching his homeland, he has seen and known many things. He has knowledge of few civilized cities, manners, climates of regions he has seen, councils and governments. He says he is part of all he has met. He does not want to get rusted but to shine in use. He declares even life after life is given. It is too little to know the knowledge of newer and untraveled worlds. He still says, whatever the life is left should bring a new thing for every hour for him. Telemachus, Penelope, and subjects of Ithaca. Even though this is all about Ulysses, he refers his son in his conversation. In his speech, he says that his son is loved by him. He refers to his son as blameless and prudent. He thinks Ithaca and its people are not civilized. He hopes that his son brings these people to good behavior. He says that it is the reason he is leaving his country to the hands of his son. He believes that he respects and adores the gods. Ulysses says he is calm, that is, Telemachus is calm, and he rules with patience. Finally, he says that he will do his work and his son has to do his. In Tennyson's Ulysses, nothing much is revealed about Penelope. She is the wife of Ulysses and the mother of Telemachus. Only through the words of Ulysses it is revealed that she is aged and it is futile to stay on in Ithaca for him. The people of Ithaca are not civilized. They have Telemachus as their son, who is the son of Ulysses. As their king, who is the son of Ulysses. In the words of Ulysses, the people are rugged and a savage race. They are interested only in eating and sleeping. They are not like Ulysses' mariners who crave for adventure. The mariners of Ulysses. These are the mates of Ulysses in the journey of the explorations and war. Some are dead and some are still alive. Few of his mates are dead. The dead mates have participated in the Trojan War and defied the will of gods who took turns to fight. They are brave and risked their lives for the sake of Ulysses. Now, before setting the travel goes, he is addressing the mariners who are beside him, remembering their might in their young age. Ulysses says that they have toiled and stood on one word, and even in difficult times they have not left him. In other words, they obeyed his command, whatever it may be. They have faced dangers as brave men, but he remembers that now they are old and not as strong as in their youth, who used to shake the earth and heaven. He reminds them not to forget their achievements. The mates with him have the same qualities as their king has. They are also valiant and they have a thirst for knowledge. That is the reason Ulysses begins to declare the importance of voyage they are going for. He says there may be whirlpools which may devour them, or they may reach the western horizon, or baths where the stars sink. The journey may make them reach the Happy Isles, where they can meet Achilles. Achilles had fought in the Trojan War along with these warriors. Ulysses and his other mates knew him well. He inculcates strong will in his mariners that even though they are old, they will not step back to strive and to find and to fight. They will not yield to any circumstances. Now let's take a look at the themes in the poem Ulysses. What is the central theme of Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson? The central theme of Ulysses is that there is a search for adventure, experience, and meaning, which makes life worth living. Tennyson used Ulysses as the old adventurer, unwilling to accept the settling of old age, longing for one more quest. Tennyson also wrote this in memory of his friend Arthur Hallam. In the second section, Ulysses implies that Telemachus is better fitted to be a king, which requires more governance, discipline, and patience. And he, that is Ulysses, is better fitted to be an adventurer. This is what he means when he says his work is his work and I mine. One might think that he is being selfish, wishing to abandon his wife in exchange for one more adventure. And this criticism is justified. However, for Ulysses, life is meaningful only if there is some quest. In the first section, he says, how dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use. Lines 22 to 23. He is saying how boring it is to rest at home, that he essentially rusts from lack of use. The last section is a speech intended for his men. However, if this is the crew of the adventures in the Odyssey, Odysseus is the Greek name of Ulysses as we know, it must be understood as a daydream Ulysses is having, or he is contemplating one last rousing of the troops for another quest despite their and his old age. He says, we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven. That which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Lines 66 to 70. These are the last 5 lines of the poem. Their will to seek adventure will overcome what limits age has brought upon them. Ulysses is not satisfied to sit and contemplate on his past adventures. He is somewhat egotistical, but that egotism is secondary to his deep desire for adventure. In other words, he is proud of his reputation, but resting on these laurels is meaningless. This refers to that line where he compares himself to a tool, presumably a sword that only shines if it is in use. Ulysses is motivated to go on another journey in the poem Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson for several reasons. He states, death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note, may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. As he compares his current life with the great events of the Trojan War and his return home, he considers that his life is being wasted. He is bored with Ithaca and feels that it is time for his son Telemachus to assume the duties of rulership for which he has been trained. Ulysses himself has no real purpose to stay at home when there is the possibility that despite his age, he might still manage some last great deeds, giving a sense of purpose to the end of his life. Then there are the themes of mortality and aging, and theme of caution versus recklessness. theme of heroism and overcoming limitations. You can read the details about these remaining themes in the PDF file that I will be sharing with you. With this, we end the poem Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. There are some more notes on the form of the poem and the meter, the rhyme scheme, the speaker, etc. for your benefit. Thank you.